Welcome back to The Outright Effect, where we discuss real-life topics in a candid way. I'm Tempsy.
And I'm Shelly. And today we're going to be talking about bullet journaling.
Woohoo! I'm excited.
So, bullet journaling, I feel like, is kind of a craze right now, maybe.
Definitely.
I don't know what you want to call it. But it seems to be pretty popular. Tempsy and I both have been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube on bullet journaling. And I guess you could say we're just fascinated with calligraphy and wanted to learn more about how bullet journaling has been helping other people.
For me personally, I'm more obsessed with the whole planner side of things. I've had so many different planners in my life. And to be really honest with you, at the time I heard about bullet journaling, I was kind of a workaholic. And as soon as I saw a friend of mine that had it, I shut it down real quick in my mind because I was like, there is no way I'm going to have enough time to put that much energy and effort into something, especially with a new child at the time. Just wasn't going to happen for me. Now that I am in a new area of work, I feel like I have the ability to kind of put some boundaries in place and ensure that I leave enough time for myself and some creative things that I want to do. And honestly, really what brought me to it is with having this conversation with Shelly of, you know, what are the other benefits that I'm just not recognizing? And we just had a really good conversation about that.
Yeah, so for me personally, I guess like my experience with having some sort of planner, I never really journaled before. Like I didn't keep a journal of my thoughts or things that I did or anything like that. But as far as planners went, I feel like they were more academic, like school related, like the school sold it to me or something like that. But, you know, when you get later on in life, not that we're old or anything like that, but when you're not in school anymore, you don't need that academic planner planning out when you're going to take your next test or your homework. So it became really difficult for me to find a planner that works because I felt like so many things were kind of like revolving around that same system that I didn't necessarily need. And I felt like I was wasting either a lot of money or a lot of paper on all these pages that I would never use. And so bullet journaling for me has been, I guess, somewhat recent within the past year and a half. And the thing that intimidated me the most is that I saw the way that people used bullet journals was more so in an artsy, creative kind of way where they're like drawing all these things all over it, which I'm not really good at drawing. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I was really obsessed with pinning all this stuff on Pinterest. For me, instead, I went kind of the more minimalistic route and used the bullet journaling more for goal planning and kind of like mapping out ideas and stuff like that. So that's been working for me.
I think something that really helped me get over that hump of this is just going to take too much time because I kind of have this thing in my mind of what perfect looks like to me, and I just spend too much time on any one thing, and I don't want to get caught up in my mind of I'm overthinking things. We kind of talked about this a little bit before. So when you explained to me that maybe this is an opportunity to kick a habit like that of, you know, recognizing when I'm spending too much time on something and saying, hey, guess what? Nobody else sees this. I don't need to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that really, when it really hit me was when you showed me your bullet journal, the first one that you did, and how it wasn't perfect. There was some really awesome aspects of it, but it wasn't perfect. And I was like, oh, it's okay if it's not perfect. That never crossed my mind.
Right. And I think we're so used to seeing the ones where we would buy from the store where the lines are straight, the text is typed out, obviously. And so adjusting to this new format of drawing in it yourself or like creating these lines, you're not used to seeing them be like a little bit crooked or whatever. So I think that kind of is a thing to get adjusted to and become more comfortable with.
And isn't it becoming a trend now that lines aren't perfectly straight?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I initially purchased and I still use a ruler to draw all the lines in my bullet journal, but there are a lot of people out there that we watch on YouTube who just freehand draw their whole thing, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, your lines look pretty straight, all of you guys out there, but mine, I'm pretty sure I'd be like totally off. But that's okay. I mean, I don't know why I'm worrying about it so much. Some of the things that I really liked about bullet journaling when I first started is I noticed a lot of people were doing these habit tracker things to kind of train themselves in like lifestyle situations to maybe drink more water or, you know, make sure they're getting enough sleep or make sure they're taking their vitamins. And those were things that I felt like I would benefit from using a bullet journal because I could just draw out this little tracker and like color in boxes to make sure that I was doing these things every day.
Yeah, I've seen those in some of those pre-made planners, in some of the major chain stores. I wasn't drawn to them. really, because I was like, I'm not going to do that every day, right? I don't see myself putting an X every time I drink 8 ounces of water or whatever the case might be. So I don't know why, I just wasn't attracted to that. But then when I saw all of the different types of themes that you can create around trackers on Pinterest, I was like, wait a minute, this looks cool. And so now I'm going to spend an extra 45 minutes to create it, and then I'm going to fill it all in. So I haven't done a habit tracker yet. I might do it in the future, but I'm just a little bit concerned about how much time I'm going to spend on it, and actually spending the time to fill it out and update it. So,
and I don't know if you realize this, but you have a calendar at your desk where you're tracking how many days you go to the gym. That's a habit tracker.
I know. That's true, and I use my little bullet journal stickers for it. That's kind of funny. So I'm using 2 different things when I could just be using one, but I like that calendar.
It's whatever motivates you.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely does. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. So other things that, I'm starting to use are saving goals. So really having goals spread out, not just in that one spread that you're using for that month, but I have it all the way in the beginning. I have this full-on comprehensive list of what it is I want to get done this year, and then I break it down by quarter so that I can ensure I make small progress over time.
Yeah. And one thing kind of, in line with that, I noticed a lot of people, around when I started doing my bullet journal, I noticed a lot of people were doing vision boards and that kind of thing. And that was kind of interesting to me. And at first I didn't really understand like the purpose of it, that I would just make this like collage of things and suddenly they would magically happen. Obviously, I know there's no magic wand or anything like that. But when I saw a couple of other videos where people were drawing these sort of web-looking maps in like a brainstorm sort of way, and I saw that, it was maybe I didn't have to like clip out pictures from magazines or anything like that, but I could write it down and like steps that I could take to execute or like complete these things. That was something that was interesting to me, and so I tried it out. And I think there is something about writing things down where psychologically you remember it a little bit better, or you are maybe incorporating that in your intentions on what to do. So I did find myself actually getting some of those things done. And I was like, wow, this thing works. But I'll be honest, it only worked for me that 1 month.
But I feel like if I have a comprehensive list that's easy to get to, or I have an index that tells me where it is.
Right.
Then
it's easy to find. It's top of mind.
Exactly. And not only that, but when I make my new spread for the new month, I can go back to that and say, okay, what were my intentions for this month? What did I miss out on last month that I need to kind of catch up on? And so that's been really, really helpful in ensuring that I stay on track,
right?
Even if I get a little bit behind. What else do you have you included in the past in your spreads?
So in my bullet journal, I do tend to jot down a bunch of ideas that I have for my YouTube channel. So if you are a new listener and you're not aware yet, I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Simple Casual Chic, and on there I do a bunch of like different reviews, hauls, reviews on beauty products, whatever. I don't know, it's a bunch of different things. I mean, if you're looking for entertainment or maybe some review educational stuff, check it out if you have some time. But I do use it for brainstorming for that, things that I want to talk about in the future that I want to forget about. And sometimes I also like jot down ideas that I have on what I want to cover in a certain topic.
Is that what you call your brain dump?
That's what I call my brain dump, I would say. It is more so a creative focused brain dump, not necessarily like just random thoughts that I have, because I know other people do use it for just kind of like, getting things out of their mind and putting it down. But for me, it would be more focused on brainstorming for videos I want to post.
So I added a brain dump section to my bullet journal all the way at the end, and I allowed for about 20 pages for brain dump information, because if I have a brain dump in every one of my spreads for each month, I'm going to have to transfer it. So that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure I didn't do, because I am not good at making the time to transfer a bunch of information from one to another. I already am worried about, creating a spread to begin with. I don't want to be transferring information. So that really works for me. And the other thing that I do is I have a to-do list, like an ongoing to-do list all the way at the back of my bullet journal. And I've also allowed 20 pages for that, so that if I do write down a bunch of to-do items, I don't have to keep transferring them one month over the other.
And I hate flipping back and forth between pages. That I would honestly say whenever I write down notes for anything else, even for work, if it's on different pages, I have to flip around and find stuff. I will never look for it.
Yeah.
I just kind of give up from the beginning. In that case, I mean, not saying that I take notes at work for no reason. I normally end up typing that somewhere else so I can find it really easily. But whenever I think it's a good idea to put all of your brain dump items or, to-do lists and stuff like that together so that you don't have to go searching for them later on.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I really liked was the previous year in review. So I have a 2018 in review, and I haven't finished it yet. I'll be quite honest. But what I want to put there is a bunch of pictures or events that happened in 2018, because I don't think that I'm going to get rid of these bullet journals year over year. I might have to one day because I might look like a hoarder or just run out of space.
You just accumulate too many.
Yeah, or run out of space in my home. If that's the case, then my husband might say, I think it's time to get rid of some of these bullet journals, which is okay. For me, it's really nice to reflect on the previous year, because as we go throughout our years, we kind of lose sight of the great times that have happened throughout, because it's so easy to get drawn into the negative. And I feel like when I went through the thought process of what am I going to include in my 2018 in review, I became really happy. Like, wow, my son turned 1, and we went on this trip, and we had a good time with my family, and we did all these wonderful things that I thought I'm not going to have anything for this spread, but I actually end up having quite a bit once I finish it, of course.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice, but I know it's something that is not at the top of my priority list because it's not necessarily needed to live my life. So that's why it's not done yet, but I do want to finish it because I think I want to keep that up for something to look back on. And while I'm doing that, I also want to keep track of the things that are happening this year and put it in this bullet journal so that I can put it in my new one too, so that I don't have to do this whole, oh my gosh, what happened last year, and go through that whole process again.
Yeah. And I do think that there are a lot of other spreads that people have in their bullet journals that maybe I may one day want to use. I'm not sure if I'm in the place of using those things right now, but some good ideas in case anyone out there is planning to bullet journal. I know some people like track their mood or like quote of the day or like any sort of intention setting things, or maybe something they want to jot down first thing when they wake up or last thing before they go to sleep. I think those are good like reflective tools that someone can use to kind of like hone in on and get more in tune with themselves with, which I think is, pretty important.
Definitely. One thing that I just thought of for planning for the year was that, and month over month, was that I have this monthly highlights section at the beginning, which has all of the months and what it is I want to do within those months. Like, this is when Easter happens, so a few months before, plan for Easter. Maybe not a few months, maybe you just need a month for that. But, for Halloween, I want to make sure that I buy my son's or make my son's costume a month at least in advance, so I'm not sitting in line for 2 hours looking for a costume last minute. And so that's been really helpful. And then within each of my monthly spreads, I have that month's highlights pulled from the beginning of that monthly highlight of beginning of my bullet journal. And then I also have the following month right underneath preparation, so that I know what's coming up, and if I get all the things done for the current month, or I want to get a head start on things that are coming up in the next month, then I'm able to do that pretty easily without having to flip back to that. But I have it there for when I create my spreads so that I'm not lost.
Sure. Something that I wanted to mention in case anyone out there is thinking about bullet journaling and maybe is a little bit intimidated. Honestly, what I did at first is I just got a random notebook that I already had at my house that maybe cost 25 cents or something during that prepping for school sale, like right at the end when like all the notebooks go real cheap. And I just, put it in there just to see if it's something that I would actually use before I went out and actually got a nicer journal like book that I could use and continue to use throughout the years. So that's something that I thought, if someone's a little bit hesitant and thinking that they have to invest a lot of money, because some of these things do get expensive. If anybody out there watches some of those videos, people are like buying pens like crazy, which I do too. But if you just wanted to try it out and you weren't sure yet, you could definitely use any old notebook, which is kind of the standard or sort of like the positive thing where you're not fixed on just buying a certain thing to do it. You could buy whatever notebook you want or just use something that you already have.
I kind of took a different route. I am a stationery-aholic, and any notebook that I see in the store that's just super cute, I cannot pass it by. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just have this problem. And so I had a bullet journal. Actually, you gave me a really small bullet journal before we even knew about bullet journaling. And I use that as kind of like my preparation so that, the perfectionist in me kind of wants to make sure like I know what I'm going to do. And then I use that and apply it to my bullet journal. But beyond that, I had I had tons of other journals. So I just grabbed one that was dotted so that, I could use it. But you don't need to grab one that's dotted.
It could be anything.
Yeah, it could be lines.
Grid paper, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is that you have, it's perfectly fine.
I think something that I really liked about having a bullet journal too is because it is something that's flexible. And if something's not working for you one month, you can get rid of it. You can add some new things that you might need for the next month because really you're starting with a book with blank pages. So it's really up to you what you want to do with it or however, works best for you. There's no structure. And I feel like that's really what was wasting my money or wasting paper in other journals that I bought that were already kind of pre-printed for me because there are just so many things in there that I was never going to use.
Right. Same for me. Mine has changed at least 3 times since I started doing it 3 months ago. So, at first I was doing one thing. The second time I was like, let me just try this because I saw something new that I liked on Pinterest. And then I just tried something else for September. So September's coming up. I wanted to make sure I was prepared because the one that I'm trying is going to take me a little bit longer or it has taken me a little longer to prepare. So I think that that's a really great point. Don't be afraid. And I think this is one of the things that we talk about when we talk about adjusting behaviors. For those perfectionists out there who have their own standard of what it should look like, this is an opportunity for you to try new things. And when you mess up, don't worry. You can either rip out the page if you want to, if it's that important to you. You can leave it and use it.
Learn from
therapy.
It, right?
But for me, one of the ones that I messed up, I printed something to cover it with. I did that twice, actually. Another one I messed up, I put a big sticker over it. Another one, I think I put a bunch of washi tape over it. So I have messed up so many times on mine, but I'm actually finding more and more creative ways and how to fix it so I'm not wasting the paper by ripping it out. But I've also ripped it out. It's okay. Yeah. And I've also left it real ugly.
Yeah.
So I've done all. But
it just kind of depends on your mood and how you're feeling and how much effort you want to go into quote unquote fixing it or...
Guess what? Nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, no one else is looking at it. Right, exactly. So, it's for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a really great opportunity, not just from a habit tracker perspective, but also from just adjusting behaviors in general. Whether you're a perfectionist, whether you're creative, but you might be feeling a little bit lazy, whether you are one of those people who just likes to check things off of your list, but letting go sometimes and not worrying about that. This is where the bullet journal has this unique way of challenging me personally, and I think you kind of mentioned that as well. So it's not just about the bullet journal and creating it and going through your tasks and using it every single day. It's about the other ways that I can challenge you outside of just bullet journaling.
Right. Kind of like a self-reflection sort of therapeutic thing. Plus, I think a lot of people use it for kind of that therapeutic purpose when it comes to creative and drawing, because a lot of people do take watercolors into there and all kinds of markers and stuff, which if I did that, it would look hideous. And I also don't want to spend the time to do that. But for people who, are really liking art and painting, I think that's a great way to kind of incorporate that a little bit more regularly, especially, once you're an adult and you have a full-time job or whatever. And if your job doesn't have anything to do with art, but you're missing that, it's a great way to kind of get back into it pretty easily.
Definitely. So, just to clarify, some of the other options that you can do with bullet journaling is just not for you. You don't want to create all the little lines and everything like that. They have other preset planners that you can buy at some of the bigger department store chains. And those are pretty straightforward and you can kind of get what you can out of them. Mm-hmm. But they also have customizable planners. But for me, they can get kind of expensive and they're a little bit overwhelming. So for something that I'm planning to use for an entire year, I would at least want to have a little bit of flexibility in adjusting if I want to. At least with a bullet journal, you can change your style up as you need. So as your life evolves, right? You move jobs, you move, you have a child, you start doing other things. Those are the things that you want to be able to change. With the customizable planners, you can customize it, but
then it's set, right?
Yeah.
After once you get it in your hands, and it lasts you another 12 or 18 months or however long.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to commit to that for the amount of money that I've seen them
go for. Yeah,
right? So,
I agree.
But some people like it. And,
yeah, I know a lot of people
beautiful.
who like it. Yes,
I love them.
I agree.
Gorgeous, and it takes everything out of me not to buy one because I know myself. I know I'm not going to use
me
it.
too. Me too.
Year. So jealous. But anywho, we're really happy that you stuck with us through this conversation. Obviously, we're really excited about bullet journaling. We have a lot of fun with it, and we encourage you to, if this is something you're interested in, but you've just been holding back for one reason or another, just look into it. It's a lot of fun. If it's attractive to you, try it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, if let's say if you're like a busy person who just needs to find something that works for them, this could be the thing.
And an outlet.
Right.
An outlet too. So we want to put this question out there because we want to hear more of your thoughts on bullet journaling or other creative things that you might be doing. Do you feel like bullet journaling is something that you would consider doing now that you've kind of heard what our perspective of it and some of the benefits that you can get out of it other than the obvious?
So we're just wondering how many of you guys out there bullet journal or have some kind of method to your madness, something that helps you along. We want to know what it is and how it helps you. Maybe, it'll open our eyes to trying something else new. Also, I'm curious to know how other people out there map out their goals and how they brainstorm, because I'm always trying to find better ways where I can kind of get some thoughts out and obviously achieve goals, and just kind of keep myself on track.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't bullet journal, we want to know too, is this something that you'd consider after
hearing us?
We talked about? Yeah, and why or why not?
Thanks for listening to our episode on bullet journaling. We will see you guys next time. Bye.